Having the family of the main character ritualistically sacrificed in front of them at the start of your game is a cheap but effective way to get players on their side, especially if you follow it up by having them sacrificed too. So why did I think the orcs were the good guys by the end of it? Well, the first red flag is when the evil wraith spirit who was summoned by these sacrifices decides to hang out with the main character, Talion, instead of the orc who summoned him. These are apparently a smarter breed of orc called Orcs, but not smart enough to anticipate the evil wraith spirit would be racist. The spirit is named Celebrimbor. Being based on Lord of the Rings, every person and location has a name that makes me question if English is my first language. Kelly explains that the ritual has cursed Talion to be possessed by him. This curse has many downsides. For example, rather than dying, Talion just sucks his thumb to comfort himself and wakes up at a nearby tower. He has become an undying spirit of vengeance, an immortal being with enhanced speed, swordsmanship and spiritual powers. How awful. He does only have these powers so long as he's possessed, and Katamari is already getting on his nerves, so breaking the curse becomes the goal. He says that to break the curse, we must kill Sauron. Now, I seem to remember an expansive trilogy of books that detail how Sauron was defeated through extraordinary collaborative efforts across all the races of Middle-earth. I don't recall the part where medieval fantasy John Wick solos his way through it, but this is the non-canon role we're playing, so let's get started on this journey of love, friendship and extrajudicial violence. As a quick disclaimer, this means I will be spoiling the whole story going forward. Apologies if you're already upset that I spoiled that there will be orcs. First, you need to know where to go, so Kelly shows you how to use the very moral and ethically good mind interrogation powers. Lovely, this lets you know where to go next to torture some more orcs for information, specifically Gimub the Slaver. Wonder how we got that name. On the way, we're introduced to Nazu Ghoul Lover, who defeats us but walks away, incredibly disrespectful. Then he returns almost immediately and beats us again. Gonna have to stealth kill some archers to get the frustration out, which also clears the way for me to kill Gimub. This lets you free some guys who were mysteriously tied up, at which point a Viking called Hurgen appears. Hurgen's an old workmate who abandoned your garrison when your family was attacked and ultimately killed, for which he shows no remorse. He also has information on the Black Hand of Sauron, one of the 3 minions alongside the Hammer of Sauron and the Tower of Sauron, who murdered your family and can lead you to Sauron. Hurgen is being coy about giving up this information. You could use your mind reading powers to get it from him easily, but you don't, because he's not an orc and you are racist. So you agree to meet him at his camp. In the meantime, oh my god, it's everyone's favourite video game character, Gollum. Audiences clap, overwhelming cheers. Say the line, Gollum! Yeah! Gollum agrees to show you the way to artifacts that will restore Cocomelon's memory, the first of which shows that his family was also murderized. Aww, bonding through shared trauma with your possessor, tale as old as time. Talion makes sure to call Gollum a filthy creature and a rodent before he leaves. Checking the in-game lore, Gollum apparently kept the One Ring to himself in the mountains for 4 centuries. Hang on, so he had the One Ring for 400 years and nothing bad happened? Why not just let him have it? He clearly likes it. We have a quick break to take on 50 guys at once in a mud pit, after which we spot a tied up orc named Ratbag. You overcome your racist ways to form a comedy duo with him since he offers to become your puppet. He says that if you can help him become a war chief by killing the other war chiefs, he'll be your inside man. Not a bad plan. A clever plan in fact. One Talion will now pretend he came up with instead. He couldn't bear to think that an orc came up with something smart, because he's racist. Although this does now mean we're recruiting orcs, which is kind of what made us dislike Sauron.
At least an Uruk will stab you in the front.
Another good point from Ratbag. Hurgen and Talion get pissy with each other, whereas the orcs just fight and have actual personalities, which makes me feel like it would be more interesting to play as one of them instead of the middle-aged mayonnaise man. We go to Hurgen's camp and get jump scared by a severed orc's head, because that's something Talion is certainly unaccustomed to. Hurgen wants to steal some blasting powder from an orc settlement and maybe save his wife who's being kept there, maybe, I don't know, just a thought. So we do some herb collecting. Thrilling stuff. And why collect herbs? Well, you see, Sauron provides all his workers with unlimited beer. What a nice guy. So we use the herbs to poison the beer. Why are you like this, Talion? Can't let the orcs have fun. Gotta make sure they're as miserable as you. Perhaps the death-defying wraith-cursed serial killer isn't a good person. Using poison is just so dishonourable too.
At least an Uruk will stab you in the front.
Gollum shows us the way to another artifact that gives us a coma flashback. This one shows an elf making a hammer which he gives to Kelly and his lovely unmurdered family. We wake up to Gollum fondling us. This gets Talion all angry and we call Gollum a thief, but Kookaburra tells us not to hurt him. Even the evil wraith spirit knows it's not right to be mean to him. He's a good egg, that Gollum, who abandons us as soon as we get ambushed by zombie orcs. Afterwards, we try and sabotage a trial Nazu is taking part in, but he completes it almost immediately, so we just kill him. On the way to the next mission, we kill Nazu again and get to work making Ratbag a captain. We kill Brog the twin and let Ratbag take the credit, so he can become the bodyguard to Mog, the other twin. With all this set up, we go to kill Mog. Mog gets his own hype music, as do all the war chiefs in the game. Orc society is so much cooler than human society, but hype is no match for spirit arrows and a thorough shanking, so now Ratbag gets to be one of the 5 war chiefs. Hold on. Ratbag is the only war chief. Surprising how quickly you can get things done when you have mind-reading powers and a willingness to inflict horrific violence. It's not fair really. Plus, the only reason this mind-reading lets me know which orc to kill next is because they all seem to know each other. It's a nice little interconnected community they've got. Would be a shame if an immortal asshole came along to beat the crap out of it. With that done, we kill Nazu a couple times on the way to another artifact. We see Kelly team up with not Sauron, just a normal elf, to make the Rings of Power with the fancy hammer he was gifted, and wake up just in time to see an extra large orc is angry and about to kill us.
Fly, you fool.
I get that reference. We fly out of the cave to go meet with Hurgen, whose wife is unhappy with whatever he's planning to do. It can't be that bad. What's the plan? Terrorism. Hurgen informs us that he and his men are upset that the orcs are building a monument to Sauron. God forbid they have a hobby, but destroying it should get the attention of those closest to Sauron. So I guess that's what we're using the blasting powder for. On the way we take out a couple of guards and... wow, apparently we're losing to idiots. At least we're not losing to the literal brain damage though. Humans don't deserve Mordor. Oh boy, pushing a cart of blasting powder. The most fun. Quick break to kill some archers, yay, and back to the cart, which is now on fire. This is fine, and we go to all this trouble just to destroy the Orcs Community Arts and Crafts project. Talion says that the Orcs will retaliate for this, and Hurgen and his men will ultimately die because of it, and Hurgen says, yep. Your destruction of the statue and killing of war chiefs brings out the hammer of Sauron. What did I want to kill this guy for again? Ah right, vengeance. Vengeance for Ratbag! You get your vengeance and meet a cool Viking lady called Lithariel, who asks you to speak with her mother, Queen Marwen, because she's had visions of the return of the great Celebrimbor. Well, I'm sure the royalty had this all sorted out. They've always got their shit together in fantasy stories. So we go out to the countryside with Princess Lily to meet the Queen, who only wants to talk to Calamari.
What is your mother's affliction?
She's old, Talion. You don't need to bring attention to it. The Queen says she can use prophetic powers to guide you to the next artifact. Sure, lady. You're surrounded by potions and candles, you're wearing weird jewellery, your daughter is a white lady with dreadlocks. These prophetic powers are 100% astrology. You're just going to give me a horoscope, which is annoying when it works. We find the artifact in a cave, and the next flashbang shows Kelly being betrayed by Sauron. Shocker. Back in reality, we get attacked by a ghoul matron, so we kick her into a fight. This understandably pisses off the other ghouls who surround us, but just before we get overwhelmed, oh, there's a nearby dwarf looking for a good time. So we get to know Torvin the dwarf and agree to meet up with him later to just be dudes being bros. We return to the Queen, who tells us to create our own orc army. She too recognises that they're better than humans and that we should just use mind control to turn them to our side. Hang on, isn't having an orc army why we hate Sauron? No time to think about that. Another horoscope, another artifact, another flashback of Sauron beating up Kecleon and taking his family away. We go back to the Queen to find out what to do next, and she starts speaking with a man's voice and says she knew where to get the artifact because of him, and that he says you should bring an orc captain over to your side by using your spirit powers to brand their mind. You decide to follow the advice of the Queen, who is clearly possessed by an evil being. You brand a captain and go find a war chief that you kill to make your captain a war chief. Having done this, the very innocent seeming Queen who speaks with a man's voice, has knowledge of your racist spirit and wants us to create an orc army, is revealed to have been possessed by Saruman via a staff. Oh my god, I knew that astrology was bullshit. It also turns out she wasn't old, but being possessed had weakened her, so we agree to help Lily find an elixir. Kelly tells Talion he isn't being sly and to keep it in his pants. He's meant to be getting vengeance for his wife and kids.
I owe you a great thanks.
I'm glad to be of assistance.
We're lucky to have you.
Yeah, nah, Talion's over it. He's gonna get a new wife and kids. Though a slight hitch in that plan is when Princess Lily gets herself kidnapped, so we go off to rescue her. This kind of thing in video games is always a pleasant time. It'll be like Mario rescuing Peach. There certainly won't be any usage of oddly specific British slang that's used in an offensive manner towards women.
You aren't going anywhere, slack.
Ah. That orc dies immediately, and we brand a bunch of orcs to help free her. We pick her up, then put her down, then pick her up, then put her down, fight a bunch of orcs, pick her up, put her down, fight a bunch of orcs, pick her up, put her down, fight a bunch of orcs, pick her up, and get her to safety. Lily asks why we came back to save her. Talion says it should be obvious to her. He's not hiding his intentions. He cares for her. Lily says he should stay with them. Talion says, nah. We meet up with Torvin, who teaches us how to take control of a four-legged orc, after which we take on a very big orc. The plan goes awry, so we use mind control, because when all you have is a hammer, and then use it to kill a bunch of little orcs. Sufficiently impressed, Torvin shows us the way to an artifact and the legendary super orc. On the way, it's clear Talion feels a little jealous because Torvin's so snarky and funny, so we decide to try being funny too, by making a short joke to the dwarf. Why are you like this, Talion? We get a flashback to Sauron using mind control on kosher salt to make the one ring to rule them all, because when Sauron uses mind control it's evil, but when we do it. We wake up just in time to not help Torvin, then briefly play Shadow of the Colossus to take down the supersized orc. As thanks, Torvin offers to help with tracking down Sauron, but Talion says he must do this alone, even though he's already planning to bring a bunch of orcs with him, and he's always got his ghost buddy with him. And I could really do with all the help I can get, considering Kelly is having me infiltrate a foreign army to perform a military coup through extrajudicial violence and interrogation. What exactly is the endgame here? We become Sauron? Why is it that when we found out we were being manipulated into creating an orc army by Saruman, that we just kept doing that? Are we the baddies? No, we can't be the baddies. The orcs have slaves. And yeah, I have mind slaves, but it's different. They took away their free will by force, whereas I... well, in for a penny. So we brand a bunch of war chiefs and set sail to confront Sauron's top guys, the Tower and the Black Hand. You tell Lily your orcs will obey you as long as you want, and you're able to control dozens of them, potentially limitless amounts, so you decide to take 5 of them with you. But it's okay, these are the 5 best orcs, and we're gonna need them to face our greatest nemesis, Nazu! Oh my god, I haven't seen you in ages. How have you been? Still rocking that mask? Good for you. Anyway, I'm a bit busy, but we'll catch up later. Okay, thanks, bye. We make our way into a castle to kill the Tower. He reveals that Cassandra of Troy could have let you go at any time. You don't need to kill Sauron to break the curse. Kelly is just a dick. He's the real villain, not Sauron. Sauron's a cool guy who gives us custom-made armour, and names like Tower or Hammer. Makes us feel good about ourselves, built a community for the orcs, and just wants us to have a place to live, and maybe a little genocide, as a treat. Sounds nice. Can't have that. We brutally slaughter him, then get pissy with Croissant for lying to us. He says, yeah, but I gave you a chance at vengeance, so we're cool, right? Talion complains that he should have been left to die with his family, because he's a whiny bitch who pretends he wants them back, but he doesn't have it in him to really make it believable, since he was trying to make a new family with the princess 5 minutes ago. We sail back to the countryside to find out that it's been burdenated a bit by the Black Hand, our final target before Sauron. Gollum makes another appearance to show us one last artifact, say goodbye and good luck, and also tries to murder you because you're a dick. Turns out Kelly managed to get tricked into making the Rings of Power because Sauron disguised himself as Anatar, the Lord of Gifts. Bit like if Santa Claus turned up and asked for help. It's unusual, but of course you'd lend them a hand. Cast Iron Pan then stole the One Ring, rude, and raised an army of orcs against Sauron. Once again, when we do it, it's fine, but when Sauron does it... The Talons of the Hand appear. They weren't part of the Great Orc community I was able to get intel from, but they're the last line of defense, so I guess I must murder the introverted orcs who kept to themselves. We finally confront the Black Hand, who returned the last of Kelly's memories. This lets us see that he already beat Sauron, but the Ring of Power decided Sauron was cooler, so went with him, who then had Kathmandu executed along with his wife and daughter, which I will admit was rude. That's a mark against Sauron. The Black Hand figures out that unaliving himself is the way to bring Kelly back to him and also allow Sauron to return to physical form. For some reason. Without your spirit buddy you start dying, but whilst inside Sauron, the Cadbury's Caramel Bunny gives you an opening to take him down via the greatest spirit power of them all, a QuickTime event. Kelly says that even though he's not truly dead, technically we just killed Sauron, so he's satisfied and ready to move on to the afterlife. Talion, having just gotten another taste of true death, has decided to go full mask off, no longer even pretending he wants to be with his family in the afterlife, and convinces Casper the Friendly Ghost to stay so that they can craft a new ring. Fight fire with fire, orcs with orcs, rings with rings. Talion is worse than Sauron. Humans don't deserve Mordor. Of course he wants to make a new ring. He needs it. He needs the power. When it comes to wanting power, he's a Rite.